All right, what's up, YouTube? Actually been waiting to react to this video all day. It's a video from Tectone talking about the ZZZ X Street Fighter collab, and I wanted to weigh in on it because I'm a long-time fighting game player, and I'm somebody who's waiting for ZZZ. I think Gacha Smack was talking about it, right? With ZZZ and the Street Fighter thing, and I hadn't even really finished watching his video. I just saw that he had that thumbnail with Ryu and the Zenless Zone Zero character in it, and I was just like, hold on, they're doing a collab? So this collab might end up being something that is not what we expect it to be. I really hope that it's not. I hope that it's actually something. I hope that it's actually a character in the ZZZ from Street Fighter. That would be amazing. Like I said, it could be like Kimberly or Cammy or someone. And then I know what they're gonna do for Street Fighter. Street Fighter, they're just gonna put a bunch of Zenless Zone Zero stuff in the battle hub, and then they're going to give you a bunch of stuff for your avatar character in Street Fighter 6. Like, that's what would happen. That's what the collab should be, because we know what Street Fighter 6 is gonna do, and we hope that they will put a Street Fighter character in ZZZ as like a 5-star featured character or something like that, right? That would be amazing. Let's take a look at this video, because I disagree. I disagree with Tectone. I've been in the fighting game community for 14 plus years, and I go to events. I'm going to Evo next year. I mean, not next year. I'm going to Evo next month, and yeah, man.
As usual, salty gacha players are saying it won't succeed when it releases. Fighting game players don't care about gacha games, etc.
That is false. I felt false. Okay.
I feel like that's a fair statement.
No.
I feel like this is fair to say.
Fighting game players don't care about gacha games. No, that is not true. Now, I'll let him keep going, because he says it again or gets into it.
This is also hilarious because gacha players do this constantly.
As usual, salty gacha players are saying it won't succeed when it releases.
Gacha players trying to give their takes on what the fighting game community would or would not be interested in. Comedy of the week. I wonder why he feels that way. Honkai Star Rail won't succeed. Best-selling gacha game the majority this year. Yeah, of course, we all knew that. People who weren't dum-dums understood this. Wuthering Waves won't succeed. Made over $100 million in the first, or $100 million in the first month, and seeking more enjoyment.
That's crazy. $100 million is insane.
We said both of these things. Zenless Zone Zero will fail. I have not been saying that. I've been saying Zenless Zone Zero is going to do great due to the fact that it's a Hoyoverse title. Do we see a trend here? Yes, self-proclaimed experts in marketing, gaming trajectory. Fighting game players don't care about a gacha game. I was literally a massive fighting game player, and before I give a shit about gacha game doing what it was, so was EO. Yeah, we both got run in. Okay, so that's two people.
Okay, all right. So he was saying that, oh, that's two people. That doesn't mean it's everybody in the space, right? That's not fair. All right. So, like, if you're a massive fighting game player, you know, and you kind of understand what other fighting game players would like, right? You understand what other fighting game players would like. You all share very similar interests, right? Street Fighter 6 is a massive, like, hub game for fighting games, right? For fighting game players. It is a hub game. It is a game that is kind of central in fighting games right now. Street Fighter, we'll say, I don't want to say Mortal Kombat right now, because Mortal Kombat is kind of like slacking and lacking right now. And Tekken 8, right? Tekken 8 right now and Street Fighter 6 are the two big central hub games for fighting games. People who play Tekken 8 and play Street Fighter also play other fighting games. There are tons of people who play anime fighting games. Don't you think that the anime fighting games would love Zenless Zone Zero and other these anime gacha games, right? There is a huge overlap, right, of like players who like other styles of games. Like, you would think, oh, if somebody were to say fighting game players like they like Yu-Gi-Oh, or they like card games, right? You wouldn't think that would make sense if I feel like you wouldn't think that made sense if somebody said that, in, you know, like how he's saying that, you know, fighting game players would like Zenless Zone Zero, right? Yu-Gi-Oh is huge in the fighting game community. Hearthstone is huge in the fighting game community. There's like so many people who like so many different styles of games, and Gacha Games is definitely one of them. Gacha Games, I feel like there's a ton of fighting game players that would love to play Zenless Zone Zero, and I think there are a ton of fighting game players that were going to play Zenless Zone Zero anyway. Like if there was going to be PvP in this game, that could help. So like somebody said that there was a lot of influence that came from Street Fighter 6 to Zenless Zone Zero, and I was like, I don't see that. But I was thinking about how the game plays. The game doesn't play like Street Fighter. Of course, the game doesn't play like Street Fighter. But another thing that fighting game players like to do is press buttons. We like to press buttons. We like to do combos. Parrying is really a huge thing that's really fun to do, like as a fighting game player, like putting together combos, putting together like and coming up with new things, coming up with new ways to beat things in fighting games and in combat games, right? I told you I watched this video already, but like these things are really fun to do as a fighting game player. Like all fighting game players are not going to do it, right? But there are a lot of fighting game players, I'm sure, that would love to play Zenless Zone Zero. And I guarantee that if I go to Evo, right, and Zenless Zone Zero has some type of booth at Evo in conjunction with Street Fighter or something like that, and they're, I don't know, giving away pulls or something like that, I guarantee there are going to be a ton of people over there checking out Zenless Zone Zero because it is a very cool looking game. And having a Street Fighter character show up in Zenless Zone Zero would be amazing. It would be amazing. It would be so cool. It would be way more hype. Like as a fighting game player, when I saw that Zenless Zone Zero was collabing with Street Fighter, I was like, dude, this is perfect. This is perfect for me. My name is EyeonFGC. The FGC on the end of my name is fighting game community, right? Like that's my brand, fighting games. This is where I came from, fighting games. Fighting games are very small, admittedly, right, compared to a lot of the other games like Call of Duty, like an anime, and all these other things are much larger. And he was right in later in the video, he's right that like maybe they would have had a bigger audience if they went for a different collab. But just because you're going for a Street Fighter collab first doesn't mean that they can't go for larger collabs or bigger and cooler collabs later. But I guarantee it will get a lot of people playing, especially the people who main those characters in Street Fighter. They will definitely pick up the game if like Kimberly shows up in Zenless Zone Zero. People will check the game out. People will check the game out if Cammy shows up in Zenless Zone Zero. Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, it would be so amazing if that happened. But let's continue the video. These are these things I've been thinking about all day after I watched this video, and I was like, I need to talk about this because I'm like, what do you mean fighting game players don't like this game? Like the only fighting game players that are probably not gonna care that much about Zenless Zone Zero are the players who are like top level players who are more focused on like doing well at Evo, more focused on doing well in like those fighting games. But at the same time, you got Justin Wong, one of the greatest of all time. Justin Wong was making Zenless Zone Zero videos, and then you got Maximilian. He mentions in this tweet or this comment here, right? This community post. Maximilian dude was stoked about Zenless Zone Zero. And I know that there are going to be a lot more fighting game players because of those people that are like getting into this game. And then they have a podcast together. Maximilian, Justin Wong, and there's another guy. I don't remember the other guy. I'm sorry. All three of these guys have an audience in the fighting game community, right? They are going to play the game and they're going to show it off to way more fighting game players. And I guarantee those fighting game players and those people will definitely try the game out. There will be a ton of people that try the game out. It's just inevitable. Like, I just can't believe that you would think that they wouldn't.
Two people saying we like fighting games, so that means everybody likes fighting games. This is a really saying.
No, it's not.
Just keep it a buck.
It's not.
Yeah, so I'm gonna break something down for anyways. I'm gonna break something down for everybody real quick. So fighting game players Gacha game players. All right, what can we directly infer by these two players? Okay.
You can't infer anything about a fighting game player if you're not part of the fighting game community. Like, I'm trying to break into the gacha game community, right? Like, I'm a fighting game player. I play fighting games. But as of late, I've been playing Wuthering Waves. I'm waiting for Zenless Zone Zero. I want to play Project Mugen, right? Like, I want to play these games. Like, I want to play these games. There's a bunch of other games that I like playing, but like right now, I like these games. And I will be going back to playing Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 within the next, couple of days, because I gotta play when 1.1 drops, and then I gotta practice Street Fighter 6. I gotta practice Tekken 8, so that for the next 3 weeks until 3 or 4 weeks until Evo. Go to Evo, be playing Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves at Evo, when I'm not playing fighting games and whatever in the convention center in Vegas, right? Like, I'm gonna be probably walking around, maybe trading friend IDs and stuff with people that are there who are playing the game. Like, I'm sure that some of my other friends are gonna play it. I know a chunk of people that will definitely be playing Zenless Zone Zero, at least trying the game out. Like, all we can ask is that, like, these people try the game out, right? Like, and I'm sure that if they play the game, they will stick to playing it. They will stick to playing it, at least for an extended period of time. They might not go all the way to end game. Maybe they might not get all the way to max level, right? Like, I'm surprised with this game with Wuthering Waves, I've gotten to level 40, because like in all the previous games, I haven't really cared that much. Because, like, I didn't know how to play the games properly. I didn't know how to play as a free-to-play. I didn't know what to do, right? It's because I've never gotten into them. It's not that I didn't care. It's like I wanted to play Genshin Impact. When it first came out, I tried to play Genshin Impact, and I don't know. I just didn't know what to do. and then, because, listen, there's a lot of people out there that are casual players of these games, and they don't know what to do. They stick whatever on whatever character, and I've watched Tectone's videos about his account reviews, and it's people that play these games for a long time and have no idea what they're doing. So I wanted to learn Wuthering Waves. I tried to also play Honkai Star Rail. I only ever got up to Trailblazer level 7 at the time, right? Now I picked up Star Rail again after I learned how to play Wuthering Waves. After I got to level 38, then I started playing Honkai Star Rail again because of Firefly. She looks insanely cool in the Sam mech suit thing, right? I don't know anything about that lore right now. I just know that the mech suit is Sam. Firefly is the chick that's in the mech suit. The mech suit looks super cool. The attacks look cool. I spent a bunch of money to pull that character in Star Rail. I didn't really care about being free to play in Star Rail because I'm not making any content for it, and I'm just playing the game. Like, I just want to play the game because I want to get my stuff up, because I'm like, okay, I know how to play these gacha games now. I know what I need to do. I know kind of my priorities a little bit, and so that's why I'm playing this game. So then, but yeah, let's continue to thought.
Okay, the biggest thing, fighting game players like fighting games, gacha games like gacha games. All right, so these are both directly what we can infer.
But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that a fighting game player who is primarily a fighting game player doesn't like any or care about any other genre of game.
What can we not infer? What can we not infer? Like gacha games. And why is that? Because they're not gacha game players. They're fighting game players.
Do you know that Street Fighter 5 had gacha game mechanics in it? I don't know why. I don't know why they did it. Maybe they thought that they were cooking with the gacha game mechanics in Street Fighter 5. But it was trash. Like, it was bad. It was just like it wasn't even worth it. Like, you could use your fight money, right? you could use your fight money to pull on these like gachas that would give you items for survival mode so that you can use your items in survival mode. Then they had other events and stuff like that. They had events that you could play to get these costumes that were like I guess like you couldn't get them any other way. Like you couldn't buy them, right? You had to play through the event in order to get these costumes, because it would be like you had to get these 3 gems or whatever. So you had to play each week and play a certain amount each week to get these gems so that you can unlock this costume. And I'm like, this is dumb. This is dumb. It wasn't that Gacha Games were dumb. It wasn't that we thought that Gacha Games were dumb. It was the implementation of the Gacha game mechanics in Street Fighter V that meant nothing. That meant nothing. Like maybe some people played I mean, I think I played for the Monster Hunter costume. That was it. But then like I don't even think I might not even play for the Monster Hunter costume actually. I know I would normally, but like the Monster Hunter costume was for Ken, and I didn't play Ken, so I didn't care. But I know I had a Monster Hunter costume for Armika because my friend played Armika and he liked the Monster Hunter costume for Armika. But I don't play Armika and I don't play Ken, but I really like Monster Hunter. So neither one of those are my characters, so I didn't really benefit from that, right? Then there's like other characters. I played Rashid at one point, and I thought about going back to Rashid, and he had a Airman costume from Mega Man. I hated that costume. I just didn't like that costume, so I didn't care about getting the costume. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like they had all these things, these mechanics in this game that were like Gacha Games or like a free-to-play game, but the game wasn't free to play. It was stupid.
Players. However, fighting game players and Gacha game players like fighting games and Gacha games. Okay? So what am I getting at here? What am I really getting at here? What I'm getting at is, while we can't directly infer that a fighting game player maybe won't like a Gacha game, we also can't know that assuredly, right? We also really can't know that assuredly. Okay, now we could know that an anime watcher who also plays open world RPGs,
bro, the amount of anime watchers in the fighting game community, it might be like 90% of them. Like everybody in the fighting game community watches anime, dog. Everybody. Like, okay, not 100% of people, obviously, right? Like, I'm a light watcher of anime, right? I just watched Blue Lock the other day. Because I heard Tectone talking about it, and I knew about Blue Lock before, but Tectone, I think he was talking to the Gotcha Smack in some video, and he was like, dude, you got to check out Blue Lock. And he explained what Blue Lock was like, and I was like, that sounds interesting. Let me go check that out. So I literally watched the entire Blue Lock series, like in like maybe 2 days. I think I knocked it out in 2 days. And then I watched, what else did I watch recently? I got caught up with Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, I don't know. Demon Slayer doesn't pull me in like Blue Lock did. I started watching what is that other one called? It's on Crunchyroll's front page right now. It's like Kaiju number 8. I started watching that. The first episode of that pulled me in, and I was like, this is interesting. What else did I just watch? I watched Solo Leveling, and that Solo Leveling, I like Solo Leveling because I like MMO style games. Also, like I played a lot of MMOs when I was younger, but I ended up getting into fighting games and playing fighting games competitively. So it's like, yo, dude, there is so much overlap in the fighting game community with anime and like this style of game. Like there's so much overlap.
Might like an anime open world RPG, but we can't directly infer that a fighting game player and a gacha game will have a huge crossover.
Now, I don't know what the Street Fighter had a gacha game, and we all downloaded it, we all tried it. I tried it, but I feel like, I don't know, like it just didn't hit. Like the Street Fighter Duel, I thought Street Fighter Duel would have been so lit, but like it just didn't hit. I downloaded it, I played it. It was too much. It was too much character management. Like it was too much managing your character and not enough gameplay. Like there was gameplay. It was like mostly like you set up your team. It was like side to side. You had like 4 or 5 characters on your team or something like that. And then like you would set up these teams, and it was just like, why do these teams make any sense? They would come out with a bunch of new characters. It was cool to see all the cool characters and the different versions of all the Street Fighter characters that they had. So they had multiple versions of like Ryu, multiple versions of like Bison or whatever. Then they had other guest characters come in. I think it was like really cool, like to see all the different characters. But it was just too tedious. It was too tedious to play. Like these other games now, and like these the open world like Gacha games like Genshin Impact, and like I don't know if what's the name is like open world, but like you can walk around like in Star Rail, open world of Wuthering Waves, how they're going now, where like they're super open world like RPG style games, but there's more gameplay happening than like tinkering with your character, right? Like you're out there doing stuff so that you can make your character stronger, rather than sitting there tinkering with everything in the menus and trying to make your character stronger, and then putting them on the thing and then basically hitting autoplay. Like it's I don't know. It's just Street Fighter Duel just didn't hit, and it would make you think that fighting game players, them coming out with a fighting game gacha game would hit with them, but the game kind of just sucked. So, you know, I think putting a Street Fighter character in Zenless Zone Zero and having maybe 2-3 Street Fighter characters in Zenless Zone Zero would just bring people to Zenless Zone Zero. Like the casual fighting game players, 1,000% are gonna play Zenless Zone Zero. I know people that are waiting for this game to come out, that are fighting game players that I met in the fighting game community and have been friends with them for over 14 years. Okay, so like and people that have been friends with me longer than that got into the fighting game community, that like fighting games, that are playing Zenless Zone Zero. There's a ton of players. I hear a lot of players that are playing Wuthering Waves are fighting game players that are making content for Wuthering Waves because they like the combo systems, right? So if you can make combo systems, if you could do combos and you can parry and you can do all this stuff in this game, dude, fighting game players are a good fit for this game. They're a good fit for Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves, it's not the same like aesthetic as like Street Fighter 6. So like it wouldn't make any sense for Street Fighter to I couldn't see Ryu in Wuthering Waves. I couldn't see Cammy in Wuthering Waves, but I can see Cammy in Zenless Zone Zero in that art style. I can see Kimberly in that art style for Zenless Zone Zero. It's so good. It's so good.
For one, not a fighting game RPG, because there's no similarity, right? Besides, there's combat.
There is similarity. It's not direct similarity. It's not PvP. But it doesn't, like, the combos are what bring, and the combat is what brings the character, what brings the players into this game. It's like, it's so fun to play and do combos. Some of us literally will sit in training mode just doing combos all day because it's fun to do. If the game is like Marvel 3, right? Marvel 3, 3v3 game, right? 3v3 game, a lot of different characters, making different teams, coming up with different teams, seeing how broken you can make the team, how much damage they can do. See if you can 100% one of their characters with one combo where they can't break out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many things that are kind of like aligned with this style of game, even though it's not a direct similarity to Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero and Street Fighter 6 just make sense to me. It doesn't make sense for Wuthering Waves. Maybe I could see like a Street Fighter character, like maybe in Genshin Impact. I cannot see a Street Fighter character coming to Honkai Star Rail, but Zenless Zone Zero, I can.
However, we don't call fighting games combat games. We call them fighting games, right? But I think the crossover for fighting games and gacha games are so much lower than one.
It's not even fighting games and gacha games, right? It's not even the gacha game, because there are definitely a lot of gacha games that maybe like maybe fighting game players wouldn't really care about, right? Maybe there's a lot of gacha games that fighting game players wouldn't really care about. But these games that have combo systems, parries, these dodges, and stuff that is engaging and where you're making a lot of like decisions during playing the game, like it might not be hard, Wuthering Waves is, but it might not be super difficult, but like it is definitely really fun to do combos. Like that's it. Pressing buttons. Just pressing buttons is what fighting game players like to do. We like slapping the buttons on the arcade stick, you know what I'm saying?
Might actually realize, due to the fact that there is no proof of concept that gacha game players and fighting game players have a huge overlap. And what I'm saying is, while it might not be a bad idea to advertise a gacha game to a fighting game player, it might not be the most efficient use of your money for the most direct crossover and transfer from both player base.
To be honest, right? They don't have to like we're talking about Wuthering Waves is the one with the marketing problem, right? Wuthering Waves is the one with the marketing problem. Hoyoverse don't have to worry about that, because everybody who plays Genshin Impact or Star Rail is gonna know that Zenless Zone Zero is coming. They don't need to reach those people. They don't need to reach those players. Those players are going to play the game. All the people in the gacha community that play Hoyoverse games or play like games just like Zenless Zone Zero, like Wuthering Waves, we already know about the game, right? But they're trying to reach a new audience, right? So I think that makes sense. Like if you want to go for somebody who a community that overlaps, you're gonna go for the fighting game community, right? You wouldn't go for the Call of Duty community, right? I feel like you wouldn't go for the. I feel like there are probably like maybe that's what it feels like, because I'm not a part of the Call of Duty community, so I wouldn't know, right? If maybe most of those guys who play Call of Duty would care about anime or gacha games, right? Like I wouldn't be able to tell that, but I'm not gonna say that they don't at all, because like in your head you think of like regular the dudes, like the dudes. They play Call of Duty. They come over from work, they play Call of Duty, right? Like that's what they do. They don't play nothing else. They play 2K and Call of Duty. Those are like that type of people, right? But then you have a bunch of other styles of people that don't just play 2K and Call of Duty, right? I'm sure there are Call of Duty players that watch anime, and I'm sure there are Call of Duty players that like gacha games. But maybe because I'm from the fighting game community and I've been in the fighting game community for 14 plus years, that I kind of have my fingers on the pulse of the community to understand what the community would enjoy playing, and know that I've seen it around. I've seen Zenless Zone Zero making its rounds around the fighting game community, around other fighting game players, around people that I know. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's and I feel myself that it's a good fit. Like I said, if I saw Chun-Li come into Wuthering Waves, I mean, I'd be like, cool, I guess. But I'd be like, why? Well, you know what? Chun-Li, maybe Chun-Li would be okay. I think Chun-Li would actually fit with the way she dresses, and they make a really cool costume like that fits in the Wuthering Waves. But Ryu? They put Ryu and Chun-Li in the Power Rangers fighting game. They put Ryu and Chun-Li in the Power Rangers fighting game. I thought that was like the weirdest shit ever. Like I was like, what? Like, why is Ryu have a Power Rangers costume on? Like, why does Chun-Li have a Power Rangers costume on? Okay, whatever. But dude, it's such a huge crossover.
Bro, what are we even talking about? What's the downside of this? Genuine question. Using your money inefficiently when you could be advertising better to a demographic that would have a guaranteed better crossover.
Whoops. Did he
Hopefully
say?
that makes sense, right? So what I'm saying is, it might work.
What would a better demographic be to market to for Zenless Zone Zero? Because if it's anime and you want to get an anime character in the game, I guess, but a lot of those people are gonna be fighting game players. But I mean, it definitely would be a bigger swath of people. But at the same time, it's like if you go anime, right? If you go anime, if you pick an anime, right? If you pick one, then you're gonna have people who like that one anime that will flock to the game, but it might be too niche, right? Like I feel like it might be too niche if you go one, like you go, oh, let's go into anime. Which anime are we gonna do? And then you pick one, and you would have to pick one that is very popular to get as many people, but it would only be people that like that anime. And I feel like in the anime community, like I don't watch a lot of anime, but I feel like I've seen a lot of people that talk about anime. They are very, very like divided on a lot of different animes. It's like you have people who do not watch any mainstream anime. Any anime that is popular, they're like, that shit's trash. I don't want to see it. You have people that don't like dubbed. You have people that only watch subbed. They legitimately hate dubbed sometimes for good reason, though. I'll say that. But like, it's just too divided. But Street Fighter is a hub game. So like Street Fighter, you have people that play anime games that come to Street Fighter 6. You have people that came from all other, people that came from anime that play Street Fighter 6. They like to watch anime. I'm telling you, so many fighting game players watch anime. It's ridiculous. So a lot of these fighting game players, even some of the top fighting game players, they all watch anime. They know way more about anime than you might think. Like, so I feel like it's good. I feel like it's a good crossover, and especially because the creator of Zenless Zone Zero drew inspiration from Street Fighter 6. They like Street Fighter 6, so maybe that's why they wanted to do that, to pay an homage. And it's like, I don't think that's a terrible use of their money, especially being Hoyoverse. Like, if this was Kuro Games, maybe not. Hoyoverse, I think it fits specifically for Zenless Zone Zero.
Risk is a lot higher than one might know when you could just be advertising for other genres that might have much easier crossover. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like saying me, and once again, love Gacha Smack before anybody thinks I have beef with this guy. Love Gacha Smack, love EO, love Lucari. But just because a couple of dudes like a fighting game.
It's not a couple of dudes, bro. It's not just a couple of dudes.
Advertisement could have been a little bit better spent in a different regard, in my opinion. But I don't really think it was the best use of money. It's an opportunity cost? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Why not both? Well, yeah, in a dream sense, sure. You could probably say, oh, yeah, I mean, every person who sees the advertisement's going to go play it, but that might not be the case. I mean, I just feel like Zenless Zone Zero and Street Fighter are far too different games.
Man, they are different, but
real means to advertise.
They are different, but it's not so far gone.
Like a long-term history of Hoyoverse making poor advertisement decisions when it comes to specific communities that want to do crossovers, because we all know that Aloy crossover was a massive flop.
That was different. That was different. That was different.
To play Aloy and Genshin.
Aloy does not bring players. Aloy does not bring players to a game. Aloy is a main character in PlayStation's game. She ain't that cool. The enemies that she fights are cooler than her. Like, it's kind of weird. The enemies that she fights are cooler than her. Example, in Monster Hunter, right? They had an Aloy crossover, and they had a whole whatever her what the fuck is her game called again? I played it. I don't even remember. Aloy's game, right? That game, they had a crossover with Monster Hunter, and they had a little skin for your Palico that you could turn him into one of those little robots with the one eye. It's like a little thing. I used that because I was like, damn, that looks cool. I like it. It's cool looking. I didn't care about using Aloy's skin. I didn't care about using her bow. Like, I didn't care about that. I liked the little Palico skin more than I cared about Aloy being in the game, right? Like, Aloy being in Genshin Impact, I was like, oh, cool. But it wasn't gonna bring me to the game, and it also wasn't gonna bring people who played the game. I played both of her games, and I don't remember what the name of the game is. That's so sad. So like it's off the top of my head, I just can't remember. But yeah, like I played both of those games, and I don't even like. I know I have a friend who played the games. He played both those games, and he really, really likes the game. He really, really likes Aloy, right? He used Aloy's skin in Monster Hunter when we were playing Monster Hunter. You know what he didn't do? He didn't play Genshin Impact to get Aloy. Because nobody really, really cares about that character being in Genshin Impact. If they put Street Fighter characters in Zenless Zone Zero, I might not be free to play specifically for that banner. If there's a Street Fighter banner, I will probably not be free to play for that banner specifically. I will make sure I get those characters, and then not spend any money in the game after that. Like that is how I feel. That is how I feel about fighting game characters being in Zenless Zone Zero. Like if they were to randomly bring Guilty Gear characters or something, like Guilty Gear is not even like my favorite game. Like it's not even like one of my favorite fighting games. But if they brought Guilty Gear characters, like they don't even fit. Like I feel like they don't even really fit like that. But if they brought like Happy Chaos, or they brought like I'm telling you, or Biken or whatever, they brought some Guilty Gear characters in the Zenless Zone Zero, I would also not be free to play for that banner.
Met with a mediocre gaming experience with a mediocre character, right? So it was just stupid as shit. Aloy was a forced collab by Sony. Okay, all right, let's humor that idea. Let's humor that idea.
And I don't think he meant. I don't know. I don't feel like he meant what you thought he meant. Maybe he did, because you got to deal with these people all the time. I've only dealt with some people who are kind of like brain rotted from Valorant, like when I was streaming Valorant maybe 2 years ago. But that was about it. Much smaller group of people than you're used to. But dude, man, I think it was forced. I do think it was forced. It was just like not necessarily literally forced. Like Sony was like, put this character in your game. It was just like they put the character in the game for what? They put her in the game for what? Because the game was coming out on PlayStation. Genshin Impact was coming out on PlayStation. They were like, let's put one of our characters in the game. And they put Aloy in the game because they have bows in the game. So they're like, oh, let's throw her in the game. Like everybody knows who Aloy is. Nobody cares about that character. Like I don't feel like nobody really cares about that character like that. Like nobody cares about that character enough to go play another game specifically for that character. The reason why my friend was playing with that skin in Monster Hunter is because he was already playing Monster Hunter, and they put her in the game, and he likes that game and that character. But he didn't do that for Genshin Impact. Not at all.
You hypocritical. I'll link you a Chinese website that proves my point on how Genshin Impact is perfect. Hey, man, find a chair, bro. Sit down.
How Genshin Impact is perfect.
Really don't feel like getting into this bullshit again. So here's the thing. Let's humor that idea. You're telling me Genshin was forced into a collab. That's just purely hyperbolic language. There was no forcing of Aloy. into Genshin Impact. Now, what you could have said is HoYoverse and PlayStation reached an agreement where Aloy should be included in the launch due to the PlayStation release.
Yeah, but like it was, I think by forced it means like they could have made a better choice. Like they were just like, we gotta put a character, we gotta pick a character to put him in the game. Like what character could we put in the game? And they were like, I guess Aloy. A lot of people know Aloy. Like, so we should put Aloy in the game. Like, yeah, they came to that agreement between the two of them to put this character in the game, and it was kind of forced because they didn't really take time to think about it. Like, they didn't take time to go, who would people come to Genshin Impact to play? Like, what character could we put in Genshin Impact that would make people download Genshin Impact and play through Genshin Impact to try to get the character? You know what character they could have put in Genshin Impact that would have made a bunch of people get in Genshin Impact and try to get that character? 2B. 2B has been in so many different collabs for gacha games and just for games in general. I mained 2B in Soul Calibur 6. I played a lot of Soul Calibur 4 and Soul Calibur 3. I didn't like Soul Calibur 5. I thought it was fucking garbage because they changed my character, Mitsurugi, and he didn't have a sheath stance. How can you be a samurai and not be able to put your sword in your holster, a sword in your sheath, and do draw attacks? Like how why would you take that away? Anyway, I'm still mad about that. They fixed it in Soul Calibur 6. Everything went back to normal. Anyway, 2B came out in Soul Calibur 6. I mained that character after she came out in Soul Calibur 6. I had an incredibly fun time playing that character. I mained her, and I was like, I'll never get to play her in another fighting game again. Then, you know what she came out in? She came out in Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. Guess what Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising is? It has gacha game roots, because Grand Blue Fantasy is a gacha game. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, there was Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, which was the first game. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising, which was the remake. Well, not the remake. It was like a refresh of the game. They added new characters. They rebalanced the game. They added new mechanics. It wasn't like a 2, but they really updated the game, and they made it free to play. They also made the game free to play. You can download a free to play version of the game that has a rotating roster of characters. I think 5 characters or 4 characters rotate. 1 character stays the same. And then they have, like, you know, you can earn stuff and you can go play like this Fall Guys mode that's in that game that you could play for free to play. There's a bunch of overlap with that game. 2B was in that game, and I still haven't gotten to play her yet because I've been playing a bunch of other stuff and I just haven't gotten to go back to Grand Blue Fantasy yet. There's a bunch. Then there's the other game, Grand Blue Fantasy. What the fuck is that game name? I own the game. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink roots in gacha games, and it is like the way the fighting works, or the way the missions work in game is like Monster Hunter sort of, right? Like you go to the table or whatever, you pick up your missions, you go do the mission, you fight the boss, right? You come back. You use the boss to level up use the boss materials or whatever to level up your character, get stronger and stuff like that, right? So like Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, Grand Blue Fantasy versus, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, all rooted in gacha game, because gacha game was Grand Blue Fantasy. All their characters come from that. So like there's definitely some overlap. This is only one game. This is only one game franchise. But everybody that's playing, or a lot of people that play Grand Blue Fantasy, that was playing Grand Blue Fantasy, was playing Street Fighter 6. So they were playing Street Fighter 6. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising came out. Everybody jumped on that for a little while. Went back to Street Fighter 6. Tekken 8 came out. Everybody jumped on Tekken 8. Go back to playing whatever other games they wanted to play. Some people play both of these things at the same time. That's what I'm saying, man. Street Fighter 6 is such a hub game. It's a hub game.
But there's no forcing to an agreed statement. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm clicking off your screen because your bald head is blinding. Well, that's why I'm wearing sunglasses to hopefully prevent the glare.
Whatever.
Right? Yeah, it's mutually beneficial. Yeah, for sure. But there was no force. They were like, put Aloy in your game or we kill you. That's just not really how that works. Right? Yeah. The Honkai Impact Evangelion collab was the best. Yeah, I heard. I mean, that's a great crossover. Exactly. That's a great crossover, right? Anime. Now, you know, an anime, a very popular anime, take the characters, put them in the game, that's fine. Especially as skins. It's a lot more casual, a very casual anime experience. Now, you could argue, Street Fighter's an anime game.
I wouldn't I wouldn't call Street Fighter an anime game. Maybe Street Fighter Alpha. Street Fighter Alpha is an anime style game. But in terms of the FGC, Street Fighter is a classic 2D fighter. Then you have Tekken, and then you have like Soul Calibur, which are, you know, your 3D fighters. And then they have literal anime style games. Like they have anime games that are called anime games because they're either made from an anime or they are made in the style of an anime, and they play very differently than like regular 2D games, and they're usually not 3D. They're usually like 2D games where you can like super jump, double jump, there's air blocking, there's like just big, like there's like big supers. Well, I mean, Street Fighter has big supers too, but like usually like there's a certain style of fighting game that is called an anime game. And then you have classic 2D games, you have your classic 3D games, and then you have platform fighters, which has also been a very hot topic or a controversial topic to call Smash Brothers a fighting game. Personally, I think Smash Brothers is a fighting game. Like, I don't know why it wouldn't be a fighting game. They're like, no, it's a party game. And it's just like, bro, it's not. No, it's a fighting game.
Have good crossover with another anime game, but I think we would realize some people who like K-On! Aren't particularly going to be fond of Berserk, or people who watch Doki Doki, or not Doki Doki, Lucky Star might not exactly like Vinland Saga.
This is true. This is what I was saying.
Very, very, very
so like it's hard to do, like it's hard to do an anime unless you use, I mean, like you gotta use a super popular anime, and like you gotta use a super popular anime that everybody likes. But then at the same time, like you said, like I said earlier, the people are divided. People are divided. If like there are people out there that are like, oh, if it's a popular anime, it's garbage. And then you got the people out there that are like, well, these are the most popular animes. They're good, right? Like they're good. So like you got Jujutsu Kaisen, right? You got Demon Slayer, you got Attack on Titan, right? Like what other animes are like the top like animes that are out right now? Like besides like the other stuff, because I don't count Solo Leveling as a popular, like, because it is popular, but I don't count it as like one of the top animes. Or like Blue Lock is not one of the top animes because it is not a household name like something like I want to say Jujutsu Kaisen is like a household name. Demon Slayer is definitely like kind of a household name now. Dragon Ball is a household name. You know what I'm saying? Like people understand, people know what Dragon Ball is who don't watch anime. People know. I think Demon Slayer has been like big enough for people to have heard of Demon Slayer and not have watched anime. Like these are the ones that you would have to select from. You wouldn't be able to select from any like for instance, what is Spy X Family collab they did for Street Fighter 6. I was like, what the fuck is a Spy X Family? Who are these people? Because I said I'm a light anime watcher. I don't know what Spy X Family is, right? And then they had these, and they were t-shirts. They weren't even cool. It wasn't even cool stuff. It was like 2 t-shirts with Spy X Family on them. 2 white t-shirts with Spy X Family on them. You have a game where you can make anything. You can make any item for your avatar character. They can make any item and put it in the game for your avatar character. And they chose to make a white t-shirt. They did this with other collabs too and other things. With like the Uniqlo collab they did one with Uniqlo. They took white t-shirts and put just images, PNGs on a white t-shirt, and then put them in the shop and expected people to go, yo, a white t-shirt with my favorite anime on it. Like, no. That was so stupid. It was such a waste of time. And like, I hope they don't do that with Zenless Zone Zero, because it would be weak on Street Fighter 6's side to do something like that. And then hopefully on Zenless Zone Zero's side, they would literally make a character take a character from Street Fighter and put them in the game as a 5-star featured character. Dude, please, a Cammy or a Kimberly. Those are the first two that come to my head. Cammy or Kimberly in Zenless Zone Zero would go so hard.
Nier Automata XPGR best collab in Gacha. That actually is a pretty good crossover. Yeah, once again, I do think the crossover is great, but I think there could have been a better choice for more guaranteed crossover and more efficient advertisement per budget that they were using for this whole marketing point. The legend who always been a pillar of the fighting game genre, Maximilian Dude, was even stoked about the Street Fighter X ZZZ collab. For the love of God, stop pretending that you understand what you do not.
Yes, this you kind of just didn't say anything about this. I don't know if you know Maximilian Dude, if Tectone knows Maximilian Dude or whatever. Maximilian Dude has over 1 million subs on YouTube. I'm not sure exactly what his stuff, but when he's playing something on Twitch, he usually has 10K plus minimum. 10K plus minimum on Twitch doing whatever. He doesn't even play a specific type of game. Like, he started out with fighting games. He'd made very high production value content, especially for the time where he started, when Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was coming out, and he was making like the Assist Me series, and he had his friends dress up as Doctor Doom and Wesker and the other characters like Strider and stuff like that, and then make a tutorial video with around this episode of like a skit. Like, most people do tutorial videos and teach you how to use the character like at base level, and that's it. And it's just like, that's all you got, right? But he went so above and beyond to teach people how to play at a base level, how to play like Marvel in like the Assist Me series, that like Capcom brought him on, like, and they did an official Assist Me series or whatever, like after he did his own. And it was just a lot. Like, he did a lot when he first started out with fighting games. I mean, I think he started with Call of Duty actually before fighting games, but I started watching him with fighting games, and I think that's where he hit his stride, when he started doing the high quality or the high production value content for fighting games and for Marvel and Street Fighter, and doing like other things, working with Killer Instinct, right? I think he did the trailers he edited the trailers for Killer Instinct on Xbox, like the newest one, right? And like, he's done so much in the community, and you know, met so many of all of the developers and stuff like this. So for him to cover Zenless Zone Zero and talk about Zenless Zone Zero, I'm sure that he's probably at least going to try it out, especially if they put a Street Fighter character in Zenless Zone Zero. If they put a Street Fighter character in Zenless Zone Zero, he will probably play it. And I wouldn't take him for a person that would pull on gacha banners to get the character, but like, if they were to just give him the character so that he can try out the game and play the game, like, I don't think he would make a full series out of Zenless Zone Zero, but he would probably try the game out if they just gave him like the Street Fighter characters to mess around with, right, on an account or something like that, and play it. It would be so dope if that happened, right? Like, and then you have Justin Wong. They're all, I think, I already talked about how they were on a podcast together, but like Justin Wong, Maximilian Dude, like, and the other guy, Matt Muscles, like, they together, if they're all playing the game, they're going to show this game to the community, and it's going to blow up in the fighting game community. Like, there will be a lot of people from the FGC playing this game if they put a character from Street Fighter in the game.
Because you were too busy beating your small meat to pickles for the past 5 years. Okay. I mean, he's right. A lot of us were beating our meat to pickles for the past 5 years. He's really upset at this. Why is he?
That's all I had to say. I mean, that's all I had to say. This was 56 minutes or an hour long. Just me an hour long talking, but I had to cover this because like I play fighting games and I feel very passionate about fighting games. So like I don't play a whole lot of fighting games, and I stopped posting a lot of fighting game stuff because I'm trying to get bigger. So I kind of like look to Maximilian Dude like as an inspiration because like he started out with fighting games, but to grow to the size that he did, he branched out into other games. Like he plays other games that Capcom makes. He plays other games that he enjoys. He plays Resident Evil. He plays like Monster Hunter. He plays like, you know, other new fighting games that come out. He plays a ton of different stuff. He talks about gaming news. He talks about things that comes up that he's interested in or he's passionate about, right? And to grow to that size, you can't just stay in fighting games because fighting games are too small. And while that may like hurt my argument for them going after the fighting game community, I think like the fighting game community to advertise to them, I think it's still good because it's bringing on new players. Like I said, Hoyoverse already has all the gacha players that play Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. They already got them. The people who are playing Wuthering Waves and watch content about Wuthering Waves, they already know about Zenless Zone Zero because everybody that's playing Wuthering Waves is pretty much waiting for Zenless Zone Zero to come out so they can play that too. And then we know about Project Mugen, right? Like there are some games like Azure Familia. I know Tech is gonna be playing it. I don't know if I'm gonna be playing Azure Familia. I don't know if I'm gonna be playing that one. But I know I want to play Zenless Zone Zero, and I want to play Wuthering Waves, and I want Project Mugen. And that other one that he was looking at, if that ever comes out or if it ever happens, the one with the skateboard, that one looked really cool. Don't know what it was, but it looked really cool. But that's about it. This is the video's long enough, but I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.